Hi, you guys. This is Renata. I'm going to answer a listener's question, and I hope I can give her a good response because I don't think I've ever had this question before, so I'm going to do my best. She says, I don't know much about this, and she's speaking of the targeting, but my boyfriend believes he is a victim and thinks I'm a part of it. I keep telling him I'm not, but he doesn't believe me. This hurts so bad. I'm innocent. I feel like I'm going crazy because I don't know how to prove my innocence. Please help. Your feedback is very much appreciated. So I went back to her and I said, can you just tell me a few things that your boyfriend is experiencing? And I did that because I wanted to be able to give her the best response that I could. And so she said he feels this has been going on since 2008. So I guess that's what, close to 11 years or so. And she says he feels he is being followed, like they are trying to make him go crazy, and feels that just about everybody is in on it. He can't trust anyone. If I move a certain way or laugh with family, he thinks that we are talking about him, like if we are all working together. He feels I broke his trust and keeps insisting I'm getting paid to stalk him. He sees things out of place at home and feels someone has been there. Example, we came home one night and went to our room. When he went back to the living room, the tool bag was in front of the door. He said I put it there, but I didn't. But he doesn't believe me. I have read other stories on here, and what he is going through is pretty much the same as everyone else. I swear I'm not part of anything. How do people who are innocent but are being accused of this prove they are not involved? This is not fair to us people who are not involved. It's hurtful. And she signs it hashtag brokenhearted. Well, ma'am, I'm so sorry that you're brokenhearted. I'm sorry you're being accused of something that you're not a part of. I don't believe that you're targeting your boyfriend because if you were, I don't think that you would have reached out to me to try to figure out how you could help your boyfriend. I don't think you would have been doing your research because it sounds like you've been watching videos. And I commend you for that because many targets don't have any type of support system. So you're trying to support him, but he feels that you're involved. And so that's something that all of us targets should pay attention to, and that's the fact that sometimes we can drive people away from us, people who care about us, people who really are in our corner. We can push them away because of the targeting, because most targets talk about targeting all the time, don't want to do anything unless it's related to targeting, and that can be hard for the people in our lives who are trying to stand by us and trying to understand what we're going through. So I commend you. I really hope that things get better with you and your boyfriend, and I'm sure that it will. He sounds like he is traumatized. This is a trauma based program. The trauma is inflicted on the target intentionally. Many targets suffer from PTSD, and I'm not trying to diagnose anyone, but I've heard the stories. I've gone through it and still go through it myself. And I can say that it is a very traumatic experience, very traumatic. Now, you said that your boyfriend feels that he's being followed and that they're trying to make him go crazy. And he feels that just about everyone is involved in it and he can't trust anyone. Well, that's very, very typical for a targeted individual who gets the stalking portion of it and harassment. And another thing that I want to mention quickly, in case you don't know, that directed energy assaults are also a part of most targeted individuals' experience. So if you don't know about that, please take the time to look that up as well. And it is called directed energy. And many targets are assaulted with that. And that can cause mood swings, that can cause headaches and different other pains on your body. And there's a lot that goes along with that as well. So he's probably getting some of that too. And so it would be good for you to do your research on that. I don't know if he gets what we call V2K, or voice to skull, where voices are beamed in your head and thoughts are implanted in your mind. I don't know if he gets any of that, but that could be some of what's going on too. As far as the following and him saying that they're trying to make him go crazy, it is true. It really does happen. Um, if he gets to stalking, which is what you're describing here, people do follow you. They follow you on foot. There is air stalking where aircrafts, jets, airplanes, helicopters will follow the target as well for some people, not everyone, but that definitely happens. Um, People are harassing you day, all day long. They're doing these psychological operations on the target. Now, not only are they following you, but they're also doing tactics. It could be color stalking that he's getting. I don't know. You didn't go into details, but it's very common for the perpetrator to wear certain colors, and you may be with him. And you may say, okay, so what's wrong with that person wearing red and black? That's not a big deal. But he may have seen that 20, 30 times in one day, but you only saw it that once. And so the tactics that they do, most of the tactics are regular, everyday occurrences that most people in the world would see or experience, but it's happening a lot to the target. And so it begins to be like a mind game. And so it could be colors, it could be um, dog walkers is very common, where you see a lot of dog walkers. It could be a certain keyword or phrase. One lady who I talked to, she says that her stalkers have a certain tattoo, and when she sees this tattoo, it very much upsets her. It could be a hair color. It could be just about anything. Regular everyday things. It could be a certain type of car, a certain color car. It could be words on a license plate. That's very common. Very, very common for them to put messages on license plates. A lot of the license plates may be out of state license plates, and you keep seeing that. Cars will put their high beams on you a lot. Erratic driving. I get that all the time. Erratic driving around you. And then if you're a target who works, then you may get much of the same type of tactics in the workplace. So it's really, really hard. And not only the stalking, but you get blacklisted, you get ostracized. Uh, Person after person turns on you. Family members, people that you've known since you were a child, and maybe your best friend, people at church, people at the hospitals. You get ambulance stalking. You get all the first responders, the fire truck, the police department, the security guards. I get all of that and then some. And so it becomes a lot, with all these people doing all these bully tactics and all this intimidation type stuff. And it's just everywhere you go, people are just doing things to you, and you don't even know these people. So it is very, very hard. And it sounds like that's what your boyfriend is going through. And so, as far as the trust, you said that he doesn't trust you. The trust, the way I see it, is that the trust factor sort of works in the reverse for most targets. And I say that because if you meet someone, say you meet a nice female, and you guys kind of hit it off, and you just decide, oh, okay, well, she's a cool person, we have some things in common, and maybe we'll hang out, and you talk to her a couple times on the phone, and you go shopping with her or something, and you kind of build up a little trust just based on the fact that you have things in common, and she seems nice, and it's just a friend thing. Well, you trust her right from the beginning until you have a reason not to. Now, if she does something to you, then the trust is betrayed and you start to look at her sideways. You may still deal with her depending on what she did to you, but the trust has been broken. Well, with targets, most targets don't trust from the beginning. We just don't trust you from the gate. And it's because we have been betrayed over and over and over and over. And we think this person is nice, and the next thing you know, the person is involved in our targeting and they're doing the same type of tactics that, that we deal with every day with these perpetrators. Now, with that being said, sometimes the person like yourself is just living your everyday life, doing the things that you would normally do, saying the things you would normally say, but because your boyfriend is being targeted in a certain way, then when you say that certain thing or you do that certain thing, he feels that you're involved. It's all trauma. It's all mind control. And he might be a little paranoid because of everything that's going on. And it happens. And it doesn't matter how long you have been targeted. Like it's been, what, about 11 years or so for him. If you're not taking care of yourself, then it's still going to bother you just like it was day one. But if you do things, if your boyfriend does things to strengthen his self, you have to strengthen your psyche. And it is our responsibility, no matter what we're going through, it is the individual's responsibility to take care of themselves. Because we don't want to see another target on the news from killing everybody, killing innocent people, because of this targeting, because that is what they want. And like your boyfriend said, they're trying to make him go insane. He's correct. They want you to lose your mind so they can put you in a mental institution. They want you to snap and hurt someone so they can put you in jail. Or they want you to kill yourself. Those are the main three goals. Or hurt someone. And we don't want that to happen. So your boyfriend has to do some things to really, really take care of himself, because it sounds like they're targeting him very hard. And what happens is a lot of these tactics that they do, because they do them so much, and it's just repetitive and relentless. Like they just never, they never give up. They never stop. Trust me, I've been targeted a long time. And just about everybody listening to this video has been targeted a long time. And they'll tell you that these people just don't stop. They do noise campaigns if you're at home. So even if you remove yourself out of the public, they'll do noise campaigns. They'll do all kinds of stuff. Okay, they make sure that they target you. So he has to do something to take care of himself, because what happens is when all these tactics are happening, you begin to get triggered. And everyone's trigger is probably going to be different. Some people will lash out and they'll it gets them so upset till they want to fight or they want to yell. Or for me, I used to sweat profusely and would be so nervous that I would be shaking, couldn't breathe. All of that was anxiety. And sometimes it will cause you to be angry. And it's just misplaced anger, and you don't know what to do with those emotions because you're just so upset. And so a lot of times a person will take it out on the people closest to them. And that's probably what your boyfriend is doing. And I don't know him, but I think it's safe to say that he probably doesn't mean it in a negative way towards you, but it comes off that way. And you don't deserve it. You don't deserve it. People around me didn't deserve it when I was doing that. But I've learned how to take care of myself so I don't lash out like that anymore. But I used to be so upset. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. So I would just be irritated. I would just be irritated because it was all day. And then I would think about, oh, God, I have to go to work tomorrow and I have to deal with all of this from the minute I walk out of the house. I have to deal with all this stuff. and it just becomes too much for one person. You have all these bullies, all these adult bullies ganging up on one person all day. And it just becomes too much. So your boyfriend really has to put some sort of plan in place for himself to try to get through this without affecting you. So thank you for hanging in there with him. And a lot of targets wish they had a support system like you. So I hope that he can get past some of this and just learn to just, people don't like to ignore, but it works. It works for me because you have to ignore this stuff, because if you don't, you address what you need to address, but otherwise it can really take a toll on you if you don't. So some things that I thought about that may be helpful for him, some of the things that were helpful for me is, number one, if he does not have a relationship with the Lord, encourage him to give his life to the Lord, read the Bible, pray, and develop a spiritual life. Because I know, speaking for myself, I could not and cannot make it without the help of God. Okay, so that's going to be number one. And it was very helpful for me when I would go out with my husband. First of all, I, in the beginning, was only wanting to go to work, and I didn't want to go there, but I had to because I had bills to pay, and then come home and just stay in because I just felt safer in the house. I was afraid of everything that was going on, and I didn't want to go out. But my husband is the type, he likes to do things, and he wants to go out of this, out of the house to do things. And he was like, no, we're not sitting in the house, we're going out. So that was good. Now that I look back, that was good for me, although back then I just didn't want to go, but it was good for me. And because he knew the type of targeting, one of the main types of targeting that I got, and still to this day still get, was the police harassment and security guards and any type of law enforcement you can think of, all the way down to park patrols. All of them harass me, okay? And he would say to me, okay, we're going this place, and there's probably going to be security guards there, because to say we were going to the mall. Security guards walk around the mall, and he would just put that out there for me. And that really helped me, because I could prepare in my mind how I was going to react should I see security guards, or should I, police drive past us like they always do. And that was very helpful. So I don't know if that will be helpful for your boyfriend, but if you know a particular way that he gets targeted, and you know that you're going to walk into a scenario like that, going back to the color stalking, if he gets that, just say, okay, so we're going over here to the store. You're probably going to see people with red and black on, but just know that I'm here for you. Just kind of reassure him, because I'm telling you, that helped me a lot. And also, my husband would hold my hand, and that made me feel secure. Because he knew that he does that anyway, but he, particularly if he knew that we were going into a situation that was going to be stressful for me, he would definitely hold my hand. And that really, really, really helped me. Okay, so things like that would be very helpful for him. Now, one of the things that targets struggle with, and your boyfriend probably does too, because he felt like when you guys were all sitting around talking, that you guys were talking about him, one of the things that targets struggle with is wondering whether or not someone has ever approached their loved one, or their relative, or their friend, or whoever. So if you ever are approached by anyone, if you ever hear anything negative about your boyfriend, and you don't think that he will lash out negatively, then let him know. Now, if he's the type that's gonna lash out and go and hurt somebody, then definitely don't tell him. But if he can handle that information, it will make him feel good. But again, please make sure he's not one of those that snaps off and will hurt anybody, because we don't want that to happen. In that case, then do not tell him anything. But if you ever hear anything and he can handle it and he's a calm enough person, then that would be very helpful, because we get very little feedback. We get very little information. We know that there's a smear campaign out there on us. We know that we have been discredited, but nobody tells us anything. So if you were to tell him, then that would be good if he can handle that. And stand up. I would say stand up for him in any situation that you can. Stand up for him. I know that I felt really good when my husband stood up for our family at one particular time, and I won't even go into details because I know they listen. But that will make him feel good. What else? I do want to say, going back to the fact that he felt like you guys were all talking about him, you and the family members. If there's, let's just say there were 5 or 6 of you, okay, and you were just talking and having a good time, and it's not a big deal, okay. Going back to how I said that these tactics are very subtle and they're everyday things that, normal conversation, normal people wear normal clothes, normal colors, and whatever, okay, but it is targeting that particular person. Okay, so say you're sitting there with 5 or 6 family members, and your boyfriend, like you said, he thought that you guys were talking about him and that you all are in cahoots and all of this against him. Well, believe it or not, there could possibly be a mole in that group. Possibly. And when I say mole, I mean a perp, or a person that is involved in your boyfriend's targeting. Now, they're not going to tell you, and they're going to appear very, very friendly, but they may target him. And I know because I've experienced it more than once, where the people around us, they don't see it because it just looks like a regular party or a regular get-together or a regular conversation. But someone in that group that you're sitting at that table with could possibly, honestly, be targeting your boyfriend. Now, I don't know. You didn't say that. He didn't say that. I don't know. But I'm telling you how these people operate. It's a strong possibility that something that someone is saying or doing in that group is triggering him, and it could be intentional, but it may not be. I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know them, but I'm just saying because it has happened to me. And people were like, what do you mean? All they were saying was this or that, but I know what that person was doing, because when everybody left, that person did something very terrible to let me know that he was involved with my targeting. But nobody else seen that. You see what I'm saying? So just know that. And if anybody ever tries to get you involved, they're not just going to come right out and say, we want you to be involved in his targeting. No, it's going to be subtle. More than likely, it will be subtle. So if you, some clues that you may get, if people start saying things like, he treats you terrible, that may be a clue. But then too, maybe he does treat you terrible. I don't know. But they will do little things like that. They'll do little put downs on him. They'll try to turn you against him slowly. And then once they see they got you, then they may go all the way in and ask you to become involved. But it'll be subtle little stuff that you, if you pay attention, you'll catch it. Now, I'm not saying that anybody is involved, any of your friends or relatives, but I'm saying that's how they operate. They do it slow. They do it subtle. they'll start trying to change your mind against him. But I'm telling you, he really needs you now. But if you're in any kind of abusive situation now, I'm not advocating none of that. That should not be happening, period, at all. You need to remove yourself from any kind of abuse like that. But if it is just him being traumatized, then it would be good if you could hang in there with him. And I think if you just become that consistent positive force in his life, just consistently positive, try your best. He will actually see, because you've done everything to convince him. You know what? Stop trying to convince him, because I'm gonna tell you, a target is a hard. You have a hard road to toe with the target. I mean, a target's mind is made up because of everything we've been through. So the best thing to do for us is to show us that you are consistent, that you're going to be there, that you're going to do what you say. Again, I'm not talking about no abuse now. I don't believe in that. Don't get abused and stay in that situation. No. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, if you see that he is just dealing with this targeting, and you can at all hang in there with him, then just try to be that consistent person in his life, because that is missing for a target. We don't have that anymore. I don't know if I said this already, because I've done several takes of this video, but much of a target's life is orchestrated, manipulated. The people around us is mind controlled, half of them. It's just, it's hard. It's really hard, and I'm sure your boyfriend is getting through this the best way he can. But I don't know if he goes to any of the conference calls. I will leave the link to my conference call in the description section, and he's welcome to come. We just get together and we try to process all of this. And it sounds like that would benefit him. There's many conference calls, not just mine. He probably knows about them already because he's been targeted for a while. But just try to encourage him, and maybe you can go to one of the calls with him. Maybe you can do some research with him. Talk to him about his targeting, how his day was. Try to find out what triggers him, so that you don't intentionally do those things. But like I said, it mimics real life so close. It's going to be hard for you not to, say certain things if it's keywords that trigger him. I mean, some people you can't even say hello to, or they'll say that you're targeting them, because that's how they get targeted. So sometimes it's just impossible to not to say, or do some of the things that will trigger a person. But I think once he sees that you are really consistently there for him, then things will get better. And talk to him about how his day was, what triggers him, what triggered him in that particular day. But then as time goes on, start to shift the conversation a little bit. I know these are the things that were helpful to me. Try to shift the conversation a little bit to where he's not just living, breathing, talking, targeting all day, every day. It's just not good. It's not good. That's mind control. That's a sign of mind control. That's exactly what they want us to do. Talk about it all day. But you do need a place to process this stuff. So if you can be that shoulder for him to lean on, I'm sure that he'll be very grateful, and you're probably already doing that. And I think that's it. I think that's really all I have to say. I went on much longer than I should have, but I really do hope that this is helpful. Again, he should be very grateful to have you. He really should, because most targets wish that they had someone who was willing to do the research and listen to the videos and try to figure out how they can help. So thank you for listening. And hopefully your boyfriend can come to the call if you guys do come. let me know you're there, and so that we can say hello. Okay, and I hope that he gets the support that he needs. Okay, God bless and stay strong.